Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're gonna look at the autopilot of the Cessna Citation CJ4. The airplane is currently located at San Fransisco International at one of the rampages. So let's go into the airplane and let's start the engines, because as you can see the engine is still switched off. We can do two things: either we can do it manually or we can use the checklist, and the checklist can be found on the top of the screen. Check the V or press Shift and then the letter C to get the checklist. First, before it is starting the engine, so you can do two things. You can either press the icons here and check the things manually, or you can press the evaluation key, and the evaluation key will automatically validate all the stuff, and if it's not correctly set, it will wait until you enable the options. For example, in this case the battery has not been switched on, so we will switch it on.
Avionics master switch.
This one needs to set to dispatched, so it's set to dispatch now.
Dispatch.
So that's fine. You can see some warning levels or warning lights are burning. That's because the engine hasn't started. Fuel pressure is not correct, parking brakes are set. But let's go to the next page, which is starting the engine. Again, we're gonna use the evaluation button.
Right engine starter button.
So press the button.
Right engine run/stop button.
I'm gonna open it, and then after a certain time, and that's something you can see here, if this one is at 20%, then you can press the next button, else it won't work. So let's give it some time. So it's at 20%, so we can go back to the button, and you can see the button now goes to run. And we can look at the ITT and N1, right? So you can see that the engine pressure increases, the temperature of the engine increases. So that's all good. So now if you don't want to wait, you can continue with the other engine. So let's do that in the meantime. We need to go down here, press the starter again, go back to the top. Of course we can't see it now because it's here, so let's do a trick. Well, let's wait some time. So that engine has been started. Temperature is increasing, as you can see. So we tick the item.
Monitor. Left engine start.
So we're gonna look at the options here. So this one is done. As you can see here, it's also above 20%, so we can press the run button. So we're gonna open it, press run, and we will. That's the only irritating thing. If you press the evaluation button, it will go directly to the component which requires focus, so we're gonna close the button so we can't push or switch off the engines. Another option you can do is you can use the autocomplete page, and then the autopilot or the co-pilot will do all the stuff. I won't do that for now.
Avionics master switch.
We're gonna switch the auto
Lights.
to on. We're gonna switch on the lights, so the wing lights, the beacon, the strobe, navigation lights, taxi landing.
Parking brake.
We're gonna release a parking brake, but before doing that we're gonna ask for permission to take off. So let's do that. So we're gonna close this window. We're gonna reset the master switch, or reset the master warning. And to request permission to take off, we're going to use the ATC, right? You can do it either by pressing this option, or you can press the scroller key, and then we're going to tune into San Francisco ground, and we're going to request IFR clearance.
San Francisco ground, Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Airport to Los Angeles, ready to copy.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is cleared to Los Angeles Airport and filed. Takeoff runway 19 left climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure frequency is 135.1 squawk 6541.
So we're gonna acknowledge it.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra cleared to Los Angeles Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 19 left climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure on 135.1 squawk 6541.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, read that correct. Contact ground on ONE21.8.
So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna configure the altitude, because we needed to fly at 10,000 feet. So you can use this button. This is also part of the autopilot function. And you can see that the number here changes. So we're gonna set it to 10,000 feet. Oh, one bit too far. So 10,000 feet, that's fine. And we're gonna switch on the flight director already. And once we're airborne, we can use either the altitude hold mode. That's once we're airborne and we're reaching the 10,000 feet, we can press the altitude hold button, or we can use the flight control button, and that will make sure that the airplane continues to climb, and then once reached the 10,000 feet, it will level off to 10,000 feet. So let's request taxi IFR now.
San Francisco ground Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra ready to taxi IFR.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra taxi to and hold short of runway 19er, left via taxiway Charlie Echo Victor cross runway 19er, right Victor Lima. Contact tower on ONE20.51 ready.
So we're gonna acknowledge the taxi clearance.
Taxi to and hold short runway 19er left using taxiway Charlie Echo Victor cross runway 19er right Victor Lima Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So I'm gonna look normal, and let's look around to confirm that we have no other airplanes which are, let's say, in our way. And then we're gonna remove the parking brakes. And we're gonna increase throttling a bit. I'm gonna make the turn. Whoop. A little bit too far, as you can see. Probably we should have requested feet pushback, sorry. So we're gonna make some turns. Actually, we made it a shortcut. And we're gonna cross runway 19R. So before you're doing that, make sure that you're looking left and right, that you don't cross the runway while an airplane is gonna land. Although in most cases the flight control will warn you about that. So now we're crossing 19L. You can see not a lot of airplanes here. And then we're gonna follow the taxiway and decrease throttling a bit. So it goes correct. Everything is fine.
San Francisco ground southwest 1837 IFR to Los Angeles ready to copy.
Southwest 1837 is cleared to Los Angeles Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 19er left climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure frequency.
So we're gonna switch to the tower already, because we need to contact tower to ask permission to take off. So we're here. We're gonna wait here, and then we're first gonna request permission to take off.
San Francisco Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra at runway 19er left ready for takeoff IFR to Los Angeles.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra cleared for takeoff runway 19er left.
So we got permission. So we're gonna Make sure that we're all aligned correctly at the runway. Gonna
Cleared
tell
for
them it's
takeoff,
okay.
runway 19er left Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra.
So, parking brakes again. So one of the things you need to do before taking off, or it's recommended to do it, is dropping the flaps, right? You can do that by either pressing the 7 or F8 key, or if you've got a joystick, you can use your joystick to do that. So we're gonna do that. So let me show you how that works. I'm gonna use this view because in the in the drone view it won't show it, right? So you can see the flaps are moving. So drop them to 15%. I'm gonna try the rudder to see if the rudder works. Also works perfectly. So let's go inside the airplane again. Remove the parking brake and then push full throttle.
Cleared to land runway 19er right Delta 1204.
Pull back the stick a bit. I'm gonna raise the gears, so either press the letter G on the keyboard or the key or the button on your joystick.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact departure on 135.1.
So we're gonna contact departure now, as instructed.
Going to 135.1 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra. Departure Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is at 4,400 feet, climbing 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra departure continue to Vinco as planned. Altimeter 29.95.
So one thing you see now is the ITT is burning, and the ITT, let me focus on that, is this part. It's a temperature, and to fix that you need to decrease throttling a bit. That will ensure that the temperature is lower in the engine, and at the end it will prevent that the engine is overheating. So we're gonna acknowledge this again.
119.475 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're gonna tune into Oakland Center.
Oakland Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is at 9,100 feet, climbing 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Oakland Center continue to Vinco as planned. Altimeter 29.94.
So now we're airborne.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact departure on 135.1.
So we need to contact departure again.
135.1 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
But before doing that, we're gonna activate the autopilot, and you can do that by pressing the AP key. And as mentioned, we're gonna use the flight control mode, which will ensure that we're, I would say, aligned at the correct altitude. As you can see, currently we're too high. So what the flight control will do, it will sometimes take some time, so don't get in shock, but simply wait till deactivated, and you can see it is decreasing the altitude now. So the other thing which we want to do is, since we've got a flight plan configured, we want to use the navigation as the way that we're directing the flight to the correct location. So we're gonna activate the nav mode, and as soon as we did that, you can see that the airplane starts turning. That's one option. The other option, but let me first finish the sentence. The other option is to use the heading mode, and the heading mode, as you already might have thought or might think, is when you, for example, say, okay, the heading is 280. You can configure it using this button, or press the button, then it will synchronize with the current heading it currently is. and then activate the heading mode. In that case, it will keep that heading, so even if you're arrived at a waypoint or a beacon, it will keep maintaining that heading. And so the advantage of the nav mode is that it will use the flight plan, so the navigation points configured. And the advantage of the heading mode is that it will use the heading, so if you want to fly straight, you can use the heading button also, and will make sure that you're keeping that specific heading. So let's contact departure.
Departure Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra departure continue to Vinco as planned. Altimeter 29.9 tree.
So why is that altimeter important? Well, the altimeter influences the altitude meter, right? So in this case you can see it's configured almost correctly, and we're now at 10,000 feet. What will happen is you travel to multiple, say, pieces of the world, you will see that they will change the altimeter. And what sometimes happens is if you fly IFR, you need to fly, for example, at the level of 10,000 feet. You will be called out and say, hey, you're not flying at the correct altitude. If that's the case, make sure that you check the altimeter, because in most cases the altimeter is not set correctly. To do that, you can press the letter B, which will correct the altimeter, and in most cases you will see that it changes this to, let's say, 200 or 300 feet below the configured altitude, and the autopilot will of course correct it automatically. So we're now flying. We're flying to Vinco, as you can see here. We're 25 miles from it, so that's all fine. So I will go on mute for now, so we can so you can enjoy the flight. We'll go outside of the airplane so you can have a look at it. So talk to you in a few minutes.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra contact Oakland Center on 119.475.
119.475 for Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra. Oakland Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Oakland Center, continue to Vinco as planned. Altimeter 29.902.
So now we're airborne already for a long time. What we can do is we can drop the flaps, because as you can see here, the flaps are still dropped 15%. So if you do that, you will see that the airplane will start going down. So make sure that if the flight control mode has been switched off, that you will switch it on. In most cases, also the flight director will help you here to correct the altitude.
For Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Another thing which you need to keep in mind is once you increased or decreased decrease the flaps,
Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Oakland Center, continue to Vinco as planned. Altimeter 29.902.
it will have an influence on the speed, and that's what you're seeing here, right? So you can see that we're now going far far too hard. It's in the red zone, which is not good. One of the options you can do is you can use this button here, which is used to set the speed. You can press flight control mode on. Normally when flight control mode on is switched on. Let me see if it works. No, we're simply going too fast, so let me decrease throttling. So now we're at normal level again. And for example, if you want to stay at 290, the speed of 290, you can press the button. Then you will see that once you hover over it, it will normally be at the same speed as it is. You can see it's not doing that. So let me decrease it. Let's set 290. So 270 now. You can see that once you change this, you need to press the button to make sure that it's picking up the new speed. As you can see now, it's a little bit going faster than we want to be. I've also seen scenarios where the flight control button for some reason doesn't activate, as we currently are experiencing. In that case, you need to control it by yourself a bit. So I think this is a nice speed.
77647 miles east. Descend and maintain 14,000 feet. Expect RNAV runway 19 right approach. Via upend transition.
Let's continue flying.
Cleared to upend.
I will go on mute again. And once we reach the next waypoint, which is Karn, if I'm correct.
14,000 feet. Expect RNAV runway 19 right approach. Via upend transition. Cleared to upend exit 776.
Yeah, it's Karn, so we're 17, almost 18 miles away from it. So let's give it some time before we reach it. In the meantime, I was thinking we can do another thing. But that's the first wait until air traffic control is becoming silent again. So this is the master computer.
10,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 12 approach via Wraith or transition. Cleared to Wraith or southwest 1655.
And you can see here their destination is set to KLAX, which is Los Angeles. You can see the waypoints. So we're flying via Vinco, then Karn, then O'Toole, etc. And then we're finally landing at LAM. But one other thing I wanted to do is, since we're wanting, our goal is to do an ILS approach, as in several other videos, we need to configure the navigation channel, right? So the navigation channel, you always need to look at, okay, what's the beacon, what's the channel of the beacon at the end of the runway, and that's what you can configure.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra traffic is 10 o'clock, 4 miles at 12,700 feet generic. Report them in sight.
Yeah, so we got them in sight.
Southwest 1655 traffic is 9 o'clock, 3 miles at 10,000 feet Cessna C25C. Report them in sight.
So I'm gonna say report traffic in sight.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra traffic in sight.
Southwest 1655 traffic in sight.
And then continue with the story, right? So To do that, what we need to do is you need to go to the TUN button, so the tune button, radio tuning. And that's where we can configure the channel. So the channel for the runway is 111.100, and once you added that, you can press the nav button here, and it has set it to the navigation channel for the specific runway. Other things you can do here is you can configure the what is it? The transponder code, etc. Normally that should be done automatically by the co-pilot, right? So once air traffic control tells you, hey, you need to set it to this, then it will automatically adjust transponder code. Some message, it's not here. IDX. So there are several buttons which are not working, right? Some of the buttons are like the display menu, where you can say, okay, hey, this is the thrust limit, so you can configure the maximum thrust, so the maximum say throttling which you can do during takeoff and landing. Approach doesn't work normally. You can use the takeoff here again. So what's the throttle reduction at 1500 feet, V1, VR and V2. The flaps, how do you need to configure the flaps? How do you or how does the flaps need to be set? So full flaps or only 15%, depends on the airplane. You can figure out the position. So what's the current position? You can go to the route in some cases, but in this case it doesn't work. Depends per aircraft, I must say. And you've got the perf in it, right? So how does the airplane do? What looks at the view? Do we have any reserves? What's the step size? Cost index. I think it's for let's say for normal airlines, like professional airlines, you can configure cost index. I'm not sure where it's used for. That's something I need to find out. Still to find out. They will use it for if I'm correct, for financial things, but not 100% sure. But let me find out, and we'll come back on that. And then you've got the cruise altitude, and the cruise altitude, well, that's the altitude which we're flying, 10,000 feet currently. So the 100 flight level. So that's all fine. So let's go back to the flight plan, to the next page. So currently we're going to Cairn, and then we're going to O'Toole. So let's look at our system, how far we are, and you can see something has went wrong. And the question is what? Well, for some reason it didn't follow our flight plan, right? So it's ignoring the navigation mode. So let me re-enable it to see what went wrong. Because what it's currently doing, it looks like it's following, or it's directly flying to the beacon. So BCALL. So let me open the VFR map. In some cases that's really handy to do. And what you see is that it will fly straight to here, but what it actually needs to do is it needs to fly to O'Toole. So let me figure out why it doesn't do that.
American Lima, Juliet, you are 50 miles east. Descend and maintain 4,600 feet. Expect vectors, visual runway tree, 0 right approach. Descend and maintain
Still not doing
4,600
it,
feet.
as you can see.
Visual runway tree 0 right approach. Generic Kate Lima Juliet.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a counter measurement, and this is where we're gonna use the heading button. So based on the information we're seeing
Dynasty 20 contact Oakland Center on ONE 26
in this display, we can see that the track is 106. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change, sorry for the scrolling to the displays, we're gonna change the heading, and we're gonna say we're gonna can also do the course. I'm thinking what would be the wisest solution in this scenario. This is the speed. So we're gonna change the to the left, of course it's faster. So we're gonna change the course to 106. And now we're doing that, you can see that the values here are changing, right? So it shows heading. You can see the blue icon walking with us, and in the left screen you can also see that the blue icon is changing, or the blue line is in there. So we're gonna change it to 106. 106 it is. And now we have done that, we're gonna press the heading button, and when we do that it will switch off the navigation mode, and it will start making the turn until it reaches the course of 105 or 106. We're going to change to 105 because it has changed also here to 105. At the end it will change, of course, because we need to make let's say a star or a hard steer to the left to correct our course, as if we would open the VFR map. We're not at the line we should be, right? So we first need to correct this piece, and then once we're at the line again we can follow the normal pattern. So we're gonna switch again.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra. Oakland Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Oakland Center continuous planned. Altimeter 29.89er.
And that's where we saw it, right? I pressed the letter B and you could see the change here in the altitude, but in the airplane the autopilot is automatically correcting this. So that's good. So we're now flying to BKL, which is here. In some of the airplanes you can change the active lag, right? So you can say, okay, hey, I want to, for example, go to O2, and once you press the button it will change it to O2 or it changes to BKL. For now we will leave it as is. It's fine for me, as long as we are, I would say, correctly making our way to the runway. That's the most important piece, and that's why these approach routes are used for, right? And this is something we can do using the board computer. So using the board computer we can also configure a direct flight, and what you need to do for that is you need to press the pages, and then once you reach the destination you can press the approach button. But let me look what I did wrong here. So KLAX, no, let me look where it was. I think it's not in this airplane. I think I'm mixing it up with the larger airplanes where you've got the option to do that. So excuse me for that. Maybe it's
Southwest 1958 contact Oakland Center on ONE 27.45.
Yeah, so this is the button, right? So you can, in this case, in this Cessna, it's the DAP arrival. See, okay.
Going to ONE 27.45, Southwest 1958.
I see that KLAX already has been set as the arrival, so you can press it. And once you've done that, you can press the star. So that's the terminal route. So that's the, let's say, the optimal route to the runway. And then you can select the runway. But yeah, to select the runway, you first need to know which one you need to use. I think for now we configured one of the runways already prior to taking off. So let me have a look at that. Here Where's KLAX? I can't zoom in it too much. I think we used the right runway, but let's see what flight control wants us to use, and then we can change it if needed. So again, flight plan is to use to view the flight plan if you want to use the official route to the runway. Then select the depth R button. Make sure that the target airport or the destination airport is there. Press the ARR button and then select the star route and then the ILS approach, right? So you would press star, you would see that there are multiple options here which you can use, and then also to which approach they belong, right? So we're not going to change that for now, so we will leave it as is. We're going to simply wait till our airplane is at the next waypoint. Let me have a look where we are currently. So currently we are at 48 miles from Cairn 3. So let me have a look where Cairn was. Cairn is here, you see. So it looks like that the airplane is doing some weird stuff. It's tricking us. So let me get it to the flight plan again. Go to next. So it still thinks we need to go to Cairn, and that's why it's showing it here. So let me see if it now has changed it. No. So in that case we're gonna ask the air traffic control for the next waypoint.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, turn left heading 075. Exejet 805, contact Oakland Center on ONE 27.45.
So we can do that.
Turn left heading 075 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Or we can continue the flight.
127.45 for Exejet 805.
So it looks like it did something weird with our IFR clearance, as you can see. So let me ask IFR clearance again.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra would like to change destination to Los Angeles.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is cleared to Los Angeles Airport as filed. Squawk 6541.
So we're gonna acknowledge it again.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra cleared to Los Angeles Airport as filed. Squawk 6541.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, read back direct. Radar contact 10,000 feet. Altimeter 29.88, continue to Oakland turning and following heading 075, descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
So that's good.
Continue to Oakland turning and following heading 075, descend and maintain 8,000 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
The only thing we need to change our heading a bit, because we need to go to 075, and that's to the O2 waypoint. So we're gonna ignore this a bit because it hasn't changed the frequency here, so it still thinks we need to visit Cairn, but as you can see here, Cairn is, we already have bypassed Cairn, so we will leave it behind, and we're gonna concentrate on going to O2 and then fly this approach to the runway.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, contact Oakland Center on ONE 23.8.
So we're gonna confirm it.
Going to ONE 23.8 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Now we're gonna contact Oakland Center.
Oakland center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is at 10,000 feet, descending 8,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Oakland Center, continue to total as planned. Altimeter 29.88.
So the two things we now need to do, we need to decrease the speed. So to decrease the speed you can use this button. I think they mentioned 8,000, so let's do that. And directly after doing that you can see that the airplane starts to decrease. It goes really fast. If you want to do it differently, you can press the vertical speed mode, and the vertical speed mode allows you to change the speed in which it decreases or increases the altitude. So if you don't want to use the flight control or flight director mode, you can use the VS button, and the VS button allows you to increase or decrease the climb or descent speed. So we're gonna decrease throttling a little bit automatically to prevent that we're overspeeding. So let me look where we are. So we're pretty close to the line, and you can see also the line is being displayed here in the screen, right? So we can use that also as I would say, or aiming point. So all goes fine. So again, we're close to 8,000, and you can see the marker here. And once we reach that, it will level off the airplane, so we can increase throttling a bit, not too much. And all the other things you can see is that it is also changed, right? So you can see here we switched on the heading mode, autopilot is switched on, and the maximum altitude we're gonna fly is 8,000. You can see that it hasn't been changed here, so if you press the flight control button again, it will update the values. So that's all correct. So we'll go on mute again. We'll be back in a few minutes. So one of the other things you need to keep in mind is of course, I should say the fuel. You can see that fuel decreases. One of the things you can do if you want to trick it is you can change the fuel meters here, right? So we're gonna change it here to 90. I'm gonna do the same thing here to trick it. Normally you should of course make sure that your airplane is fully loaded, or at least enough loaded to handle or to fly the correct route. So I'm gonna change it here, so now we have enough. It has happened to me a few times that I was already airborne and I forgot to have a look at the fuel, and that once airborne suddenly the engine stopped because I didn't look at the fuel meters, and then I was screwed. So you can use it luckily to change it here. Of course it's not realistic to do it, but you can do that. So we're gonna ask flight control again the direction of the waypoint.
Oakland Center, Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, continue to hotel turning and following heading 105. Proceed on course.
So 105. And you can of course also use this blue icon and make sure that your points at the yellow line. Then you're always going, say, the correct way.
Continue to autopilot turning and following heading 105. Proceed on course Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So that's also something you can do, right? You can change it and then adjust it a bit until you fly on the yellow line. So then you're always going the correct way. So let me do that. So we're gonna fly a little bit like this. Slowly go closer and closer to the line, and once we're at the line we will go to the normal heading.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, climb and maintain 9,300 feet.
So now we need to increase our altitude
Climb
again.
and maintain 9,300 feet Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So we can do that again by using this button, right? Was it 9,300? And we're gonna press the flight control button again. So it's also being adjusted here. Another advantage of using that button is that it will try to keep the same speed when it's climbing to that altitude. It's not always enough, so in some cases you need to increase throttling a bit. As you can see, you need to change it a bit. In the meantime, we're almost closely at the yellow line, so we're gonna also change the heading a bit to 107. Almost at the requested speed, requested altitude I should say, and then we're gonna decrease speed because else it will go in overspeed mode again.
Overspeed.
As already mentioned, overspeed. Slowly drop the throttle. Not too much. will slowly climb the last few meters to the, meters to the 9,300. So we're gonna adjust the heading a bit, right? Because you can see if you would closely zoom in that we were a little bit off. So it goes correct. We're still going, I would say, the good way. Let me see where we are to VFR. I think we're almost half the way from the car to O2. So O2 is now, let me have a look, 116 nautical miles behind us. So I don't think from Cairn to O2 was 250 or something.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and maintain 8,700 feet.
They don't know what we want to do. So we're gonna descend
maintain
the altitude
8,700
again.
feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
8,700. You can press the flight control button again if you want. So we're gonna drop 600 feet.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra climb and maintain 9,500 feet.
I think they're really lost. Now we need to climb again.
Climb and maintain 9,500 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
But we're gonna strictly follow the orders.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact Los Angeles Center on 127.1.
Going to 127.1 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
We're gonna tune into Los Angeles.
Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is climbing through 9,300 feet for 9,500 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Los Angeles Center. Continue to go tall as planned. Altimeter 29.86.
So just
Generic 42 pocket traffic alert. 6 o'clock less than 1 mile. 10,000 feet generic. Report them in sight.
so we're gonna switch the altitude again.
Generic 42 pocket traffic alert. 4 o'clock less than 1 mile. 10,000 feet generic. Report them in sight.
You can see it has changed this again. So we're gonna follow the flight or plan to O2.
Papa have the generic in
So
sight.
let's go outside of the airplane.
Sierra descend and maintain 8,800 feet.
Now we need to descend again.
Generic 42 Papa have the
So
traffic.
let me go to this.
Descend and maintain 8,800 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Wouldn't be surprised if they would change it again. But let's see. In the meantime, let's look outside of the aircraft. Some nice water pieces. As already expected, now we need to climb again to 9,700.
Climb and maintain 9,700 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
I'm gonna increase speed a bit. To make sure that we can reach the requested altitude. Almost there, so we're gonna decrease throttling a bit. And you can see the blue icon again, right? So that make sure that we're at the correct altitude. And once we're there, we're gonna decrease altitude again. Not sure what the air traffic control has today. Probably it's a little bit dense around Los Angeles. Gonna decrease throttling a little bit more. Let's hope we're not flying too low.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra climb.
And luckily we can increase the altitude again. So I'm gonna do that.
Climb and maintain 9,700 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
And in addition to that, we're gonna correct our heading, because we're gonna go a little bit off course. So you can see, even if you're flying with the autopilot, you still need to do a lot.
X-ray Golf Sierra descent and maintain 9,000 feet. Delta 701 contact Oakland Center on ONE 2.3.8.
We're gonna acknowledge this.
Descend and maintain 9,000 feet Cessna
But if
X-ray
you look
Golf
at
Sierra.
how close we are to the mountains, we're gonna request to increase the altitude.
Delta 701.
So we're gonna use option 2, and then say we want to increase it with 2,000 feet.
Los Angeles Center Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra. Request 10,000 feet.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra climb and maintain 10,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 10,000 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
We were already pretty close to that, because you can see there are a lot of mountains here. So we don't want to go too close to these mountains.
Los Angeles Center, generic November tree, 8 Tango Whiskey is out of flight level 230 for 10,000 feet.
Generic November tree, 8 Tango Whiskey Los Angeles Center, continue as planned.
So I think we're at almost 2/3 of the flight. 202, and then we need to make the turn here, and then we can approach Los Angeles Airport. So let me go mute again and let you enjoy the flight.
Los Angeles Center on 132.3. Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, did you copy?
So stepped away. And it's always HC. That you need to change. The HC, but no problem. We can still do it.
Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Los Angeles Center, continue to ATOL as planned. Altimeter 29.88.
So no changes there. We only changed the altimeter a bit. Flight course is still okay. So if you don't like waiting, or if you want to just skip to your destination, you can still do it if you plan a flight. And you can use that by, or do that by using the option. What is it? Travel to, which allows you to change the flight. So you can see okay, you can choose the multiple options here. For example, the what is it? Takeoff, or street taxi, takeoff, and then cruise, the descent, the approach to the airport, and then you've got the multiple options here, which are the multiple parts of the final, and then you can skip to the taxi. But we're not going to do that. We're going to simply follow and do the entire flight here. And we continue to record this so you can enjoy it. What are the other options? The other options are the objectives. In this case there's only one objective: continue to climb to the designated cruise speed, which is 10,000 feet, which we are there, so we already complete this objective. VFR map, we already showed it. The nav log, maybe when you did the bush trips, you used it to go from one waypoint to the other one, and some cases you need to track that manually by using the stopwatch to make sure that you're, I would say, meeting the deadline, so you have at least an idea where you are. So you can see also here the expected ETA for Los Angeles from start to Los Angeles is 60 minutes. Maybe it's a little bit longer for us. Let's see. So let's see where we currently are. Well, we're coming pretty close to O'Toole, as you can see. So we're flying into the country and then making a turn and then go to Los Angeles. We of course could also have chosen a different approach where we could fly over or near the coastline and then maybe even over the sea and then back to the airport. But this is the route we selected. So let me have a look at the yellow line here. So I think we need to make a small correction here. So one option we didn't discuss and I'm thinking about is that's the VNAV button. And the VNAV button allows you to use the altitudes configured in your flight plan. So in our case we didn't do that, but you can say, okay, at this specific waypoint I want to be at this altitude, at this specific waypoint I want to be at that altitude, and by using the VNAV option it will follow that, so it will ensure that you're at the correct altitude when you reach the waypoint. Other options which you see in this part of the, I would say the autopilot part of the system, is the half banking, and the half banking is used to decrease the or increase the banking which you can make once you're turning. It will take some, I would say, a maximum banking, and if you select this button, that banking behavior will change. I looked it up in the FAA manual. To me, it wasn't clear exactly when to use it, but what I read through the lines was that you can only use it in very or above a certain altitude, and it shouldn't be used normally. Then we have the approach button, which we're going to use for ILS approach. So if you hit the approach button, it will try to capture the glide scope, and then we'll use the glide scope so it will guide you to the runway. If for some reason you configure the wrong frequency, for example you configure the frequency of the beacon at the start of the runway instead of the end, then you can use the back course button, which will do the, I would say, which will invert it. Yaw damper, which will, I would say, make the flight more controllable, so it will ensure that the airplane will not start doing weird things. You can switch off the yaw damper, but as far as I understood, it's not recommended to do that. Just leave it on. Course button. You can also change the course, right? We now change the heading, but you can also change the course which you're flying. Has the same, I would say, almost the same result as changing the heading. And you've got a course here and a course here, which you can change. I think that were all the buttons. I think we discussed all the buttons on this piece of the dashboard, which are used to control the autopilot. So let me make a small course correction again. Let's have a look at the VFR map, how close we are. Pretty close, as you can see. Let's move it away again. And the closer you will get to the waypoint, the more you need to, I would say, correct the course. At least that's my experience. So we'll go on mute again and we'll let you enjoy the flight. And once we're at the waypoint, I will come on off mute again, and then I'm gonna change the course again.
132.5 for Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra. Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Los Angeles Center. Continue to go tall as planned. Altimeter 29.86. Sun Country Tree 005. You are 81 miles northeast. Descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 26 right approach via Taco transition. Cleared to Taco.
Descend and maintain 7,400 feet. Expect ILS runway 26 right approach via Taco transition. Cleared to Taco Sun Country Tree 005.
So, as you can see, we're close to O2, so we can do two things, or we can follow the yellow line, or we can first go to O2 and then make the turn to the right. I will do the second option, although you can also choose for the first option, right? Simply by changing the heading. If the autopilot has been configured to use the navigation mode, it will always fly to the navigation point, and once it reaches the waypoint, it will go to the next one. So, as you can see, we're getting pretty close. So let's change the heading a bit. So we're gonna make a turn to the right. And this is where you can use the blue arrow again, right? So you can use the blue arrow, focus it on the yellow line, like this.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra climb and maintain flight level 180. Keep speed below 280 knots. Generic 1 kilo. Charlie contact Los Angeles Center on 132.3.
So we need to increase the altitude again.
Flight level 180, keep speed below 280 knots, Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So let's do that.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra climb and maintain flight level 240.
I'm gonna increase speed a bit.
Climb and maintain flight level 240,
I'm
Cessna
not sure
X-ray
what
Golf Sierra.
the guys want there from our traffic control, because they're
Android 3553 contact Los Angeles Center on 132.3.
they want us to climb crazy high.
132.3.
So let's do that.
Kilo Charlie. Los Angeles Center Exojet
Change the heading
794 is at
again.
flight level 270, descending 10,000 feet.
Exojet 79er for Los Angeles Center. Continue as planned.
Going to 132.3.
Watch out we don't go into overspeed.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
Sun Country 3005 contact Los Angeles Center on ONE 26.35.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
So we need to increase 10,000 feet. Not sure why it's needed, but always follow the instructions of the air traffic control, because it could be that it's pretty dense, that they try to avoid. Of course, that's one of their goals, is to avoid that airplanes can collide. Right, so So what we can do is we can drop flaps a bit, because that will help us increase our climb rate. At least in most cases, but you need to also increase throttle, right? Because you drop the flaps, you will need more power to climb to the, in this case, requested altitude. Case you need to reactivate the flight control button in that case. And sometimes it goes in hokey pokey status like this one. Will climb crazy high and then fall back again, and then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the VS button, because we didn't use that one. So we're gonna increase.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact Los Angeles Center on ONE 26.35.
Switch again.
126.35 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
You can see that if you apply full throttle when the flaps are dropped,
Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha
the
Sierra
engine
X-ray
temperature
Golf
will
Sierra
get
is climbing
pretty
through
hot.
flight level 180 for flight level 240.
So don't do it too long because it's not good for the airplane.
Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Los Angeles Center continue to LEMM as planned.
So LEM and is the next one.
Sun Country 3005 contact SoCal approach on 0.25 decimal
I'm gonna
5.
fly this route, so we need to make a turn to the left, or straight to the right. I'm correct.
125
Yeah.
decimal 5 Sun Country 3005.
That's one option. The other option is that you use this route. So there are two routes being displayed, but let's follow the yellow one. And if you're not sure which one you need to follow, you can always ask the air traffic control which one you need to use.
Los Angeles Center United 2069er is out at flight level 290 for 8,300 feet. United 2069er Los Angeles Center continue as planned.
So, for example, you can press 1.
Los Angeles Center Cessna
That
Alpha
will tell you
Sierra
what to
X-ray
do.
Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Cessna X-ray Golf
So
Sierra
it still
continues
says we need to go to LEM, so let's follow LEM and then see what points us to.
Continue to LEMM and turning and following heading 105. Resume on navigation Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So now we're at LEM almost, as you can see. So we can ask now again, what do we do?
Southwest
Want us to do?
Contact Los Angeles Center on 132 decimal tree.
Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra turn right heading 105 proceed on course.
So it says 105.
132 decimal tree, southwest 1522.
Doesn't look pretty good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna follow this course to
Cessna X-ray Golf
Anu.
Sierra, did you hear my last transmission?
I'm gonna say yes.
Turn
We
right
heard it.
heading 105. Resume on navigation Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're gonna go via Anu, and then we're gonna follow this white line. So we're almost at the request altitude, right? So we passed at 23,000. Which is good.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and maintain 16,000 feet.
As already expected. We need to
Descend and maintain
decrease
16,000
the altitude,
feet, Cessna
and
X-ray
makes
Golf
sense
Sierra.
because we're coming closer to the airport, right? So we need to go make sure that we're, say, getting closer to what we want.
Landing gear.
Don't forget
Landing
to
gear.
decrease the speed,
Landing gear.
or
Landing
decrease
gear.
throttling, sorry.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Ignore the landing gear for now.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
If you think you're going too fast,
Landing
you
gear.
can use the virtual
Landing
speed
gear.
again. So you
Landing
can
gear.
use the virtual speed
Landing
to
gear.
increase or decrease the
Landing gear.
altitude.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Gonna
Landing gear.
change the course to
Landing gear.
follow the wing
Landing
line.
gear. Landing 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 gear.
Tango Whiskey, you are 71 miles northwest. Descend and maintain 11,000 feet. Expect vectors visual runway 10 approach.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Descend and maintain 11,000 feet. Expect vectors visual runway 10 approach. Generic 8 Tango Whiskey.
Landing gear. 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 Landing gear.
See, in some cases, indeed.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Flight control mode doesn't really help,
Landing gear. Landing gear.
so we're gonna use the
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
use the virtual speed or the vertical speed button.
Landing gear. 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 Landing
In the
gear.
meantime, let's
Landing gear.
set flaps again to 0. That will at least prevent.
Los Angeles Center Southwest 1476 is at flight level 410 descending 10,000 feet.
That will at least prevent that the landing gear messages continuously being displayed.
Center continue as planned.
So we're almost at the request altitude, right? We're at 10,800.
Overspeed.
I'm gonna decrease
Overspeed.
speed again.
Overspeed.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 62 miles east.
Overspeed.
Descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Keep speed below 270 knots. Expect ILS runway 25 right approach by a CRC US transition. Cleared to CRC US.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
So
United 2069er, you are 54 miles east. Descend and maintain 13,000 feet. Keep speed below 270 knots. Expect ILS runway. Cessna
So-
X-ray Golf Sierra, descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Keep speed below 270 knots.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Keep speed below 270 knots. Expect ILS runway 25 right approach by a CRC US transition. Cleared to CRC US Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're coming closer and closer, as you can see. So we got the instructions to decrease the altitude again. So we can go a little bit faster. And we also got the instructions to not go faster than 270 knots. And then the runway we're going to use is 25R. So we're going to follow this line. So we're going to go to CRC US, and then we're going to adjust the course a bit. And that's also what's being instructed by flight control. And then we're going to follow this line until we're at the airport. You can see our CUS here. Sometimes it's a little bit dense, so then it doesn't display all the signal, all the
Spirit wind
stuff.
2932 traffic is 1 o'clock 4 miles at 16,100 feet generic. Report them in sight. Generic 8 Tango Whiskey traffic is 12 o'clock 3 miles at flight level 1905 generic. Report them in sight.
We're gonna adjust the course because we're almost at
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and
CRC
maintain
US.
10,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 10,000 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
really don't know what they want, so now we need to
Spirit Wings 2903, 2 have the
stay at
traffic.
10,000 feet again.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, contact Los Angeles Center on 132.85.
Switch again.
Spirit winds 2932, you are 62 miles east. Descend and maintain 8,000 feet, keep speed below 270 knots, expect ILS runway 25 right approach via CRC US transition. Clear to CRC US.
132.85 for Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra. Los Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is out of 11,100 feet for 10,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra, X-ray Golf, Sierra Los Angeles Center. Continue to LICOM as planned. Altimeter 29.903.
Okay, Lycon. Don't see it here, but we simply follow the course and then we will see where we end. For the fun, let's ask where
Los
it is.
Angeles Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra. Continue to LICOM turning and following heading 205.
205.
Continue to LICOM turning and following heading 205 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and maintain 9,000 feet.
And decrease.
Descend and maintain 9,000 feet
9,000
Cessna
again.
X-ray Golf Sierra.
Lycom is here, so not sure why they want us to go here while they first instructed us to go to here.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
So I'm gonna go to 8,000.
Descend and maintain 8,000 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact Los Angeles approach on 134.75.
We're gonna contact approach.
134.75 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Gonna make a small course correction here.
Los Angeles approach Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra is out of 8,500 feet for 8,000 feet.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Los Angeles approach. Continue to move it as planned. Altimeter 29.904.
Press the B again. Some music that's here. So we're following the line to the runway, which is coming closer and closer.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra descend and maintain 5,000 feet.
So decrease. Now let's
Descend
do it
and
again.
maintain 5,000 feet Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
coming closer and closer. As you can see, there are a lot of airplanes also there, more in the neighborhood. So that's probably also the reason why we need to change every time. So let's go into the airplane again. See, we need to make changes.
Continue to turn as planned. Altimeter 29.905.
So this is cool, right? So you can now see that this symbol has appeared, which is the glide scope. So it detected the navigation which we initially configured during the start of a flight. So let me see if it's visible. Not yet. Sometimes it displays the name here, but now it's not an issue. And once we're here, we can use the approach button, and if we can intercept or if it can intercept the glide scope, it will guide us to the runway. So 3,700. Whoop.
Descend and maintain 3,700 feet, Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Normally what will happen is that this one will go closer and closer to the center, and if you're at the center, then you're at the correct glide scope.
X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 15 miles east of Los Angeles. Contact Los Angeles Tower on 119.8 when inbound.
Tower on 119.8 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So you can see we're coming close to this, so we're contacting the tower.
Los Angeles Tower,
And in the
Cessna
meantime,
Alpha
we
Sierra,
press
X-ray
the
Golf Sierra 13 miles
approach
east
button.
inbound ILS runway 25 right approach.
Cessna Alpha Sierra, X-ray Golf Sierra, Los Angeles Tower. Cleared ILS runway 25 right approach. Altimeter 29.905, wind 178 at 4.
Cleared ILS runway 25 right approach, Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
I'm not sure what the approach button is doing. The approach button should normally intercept the ILS channel, but it doesn't do it. It looks like it's going to fly back to the initial waypoint car, so we're gonna disable this mode and we're gonna switch on the heading mode and change the course again to this one. Sometimes you're screwed, like me, and then once this waypoint has been, I'll say, incorrectly set, then a flight sometimes becomes a nightmare. In the Cessna it's really easy to change the lag. In the Cessna 180 series, but for some reason in this one it's not accepting the way it should accept stuff. So something to find out, and something I will surely do, and will let you know how to fix it.
Los Los Angeles Tower, Spirit Wings, 29er tree.
For now, we're gonna fix it manually.
East inbound ILS runway 25 right approach.
So we're gonna
Spirit Winds 29er tree to Los Angeles Tower. Cleared ILS runway 25 right approach.
change it. So we're gonna
Altimeter
make a little
29er
bit
decimal 9er 6 wind
hard
180
to
wind
the
tree.
right side.
Cleared ILS runway 25 right approach. Spirit Wings 29er tree 2.
The only thing we can't do now is use the ILS, right? Because the ILS is not captured correctly. So let's open the VFR map again. And see what we can do to fix this piece. We're coming closer and closer to the line, so that's okay. So we're already gonna change the course a bit. So we're gonna end up at this line.
Spirit Winds 29er tree 2 cleared to land runway 25 right. Wind 17 at tree.
And what we're now gonna do is, since the autopilot is being, I would say, screwed up a bit, we're gonna
Landing gear. Landing gear.
drop the flaps, decrease speed.
Landing
If you
gear.
decrease the speed, it will
Landing gear.
also pull
Landing
the
gear.
nose down. I'm
Landing
gonna
gear.
switch off the autopilot.
Landing gear. Landing
Gonna
gear.
push the stick a
Landing
bit
gear.
down, because
Landing gear.
that's where you can see
Landing
the
gear.
airport already.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
So
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra cleared to land runway 25 right. Follow the generic on final. Wind 17 at tree. Caution the generic landing runway 25 left.
So you can see that there's one at the left side, so it warned us, hey, watch out, there's an aircraft running on the left side, and we need to be at the right side,
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing
so
gear.
we need to
Landing gear.
switch down the landing gear, put flaps to full, not make it too steep decrease, of course, because we're gonna be going really fast now, so we'll ease the stick a bit, increase speed a bit. So we're gonna make sure that we're aligned correctly at the runway. Make some turns. As you can see, the poppy lights on the left of the landing, or from the runway. It's all red.
Spirit Winds 29er tree 2 exit runway when able.
If you watched my how-to about the poppy lights, you know what those mean, right? So when all lights are right, you're too low. Not sure if this will be a smooth landing, so already sorry for that.
29er tree 2 turn next taxiway.
It's even besides the landing.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact ground on ONE 21.65.
This was not a good landing.
121.65 for Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're gonna move off the runway as instructed. As you can see, there are a lot of large aircrafts here, so we're gonna request
Los
to
Angeles
parking.
ground Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taxi to parking.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Zulu cross runway 6 right Zulu Echo Romeo Delta Tango Tango 10 Bravo Charlie 10 Charlie. Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra hold position. Caution the generic on the runway.
So you can see traffic control warns us.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra continue taxi.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Zulu cross runway 6 right Zulu Echo Romeo Delta Tango Tango 1 Sierra Bravo Charlie 10 Charlie Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Always watch yourself also. So we need to find out where it went wrong, right? For some reason it did stay stuck at the first navigation point and did not pick up the other approaches. So the star approach. So we can go to the left here. So we don't have to wait for the other airplanes. A little bit too fast, as you can see. So we need to make a small correction here. We're almost there. So let's see where they want us to drive to. Looks like it's not the closest point they want us to park. But yeah. That doesn't matter, right? We already had a nice flight from San Francisco to Los Angeles. We used the navigation for the autopilot as far as possible. There were some minor issues with the navigation button, which normally works perfect. If you look at some other tutorials, you would see that it works perfectly. Just need to find out why it didn't work in this scenario. Would have expected it to work, to be honest. We discussed most buttons which you can use in the autopilot. Autopilot makes life easy, but you still need to keep an eye on your airplane. You can't blindly trust on it. You still need to follow or make the changes required to change the altitude, change the speed in some cases. And as a free gift, you also get a guided tour.
X-ray Golf Sierra, hold position, caution other traffic.
Hold position Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
Still need to wait. Some cars driving by.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, continue taxi.
Continue taxi again.
Roger, Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
These are nice airplanes here, right? Not only the default painting, but also the customized paintings. American airline here. A few of them.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, hold position, caution other traffic.
Again.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, continue taxi.
Can continue taxi again.
Roger, Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
And always keep an eye open, right? So don't do sightseeing too much, but keep an eye open on the other airplanes which are close to you. Like this one in front of
Los
us.
Angeles ground, Magellan 7201 requesting pushback. Magellan 7201 pushback, request accepted.
So this one goes straight, so we're gonna go to our final position more closely. There's a person, so watch out for him, for her. Well, let's park the airplane here. So the green box there, so that's good. I'm gonna put on the parking brakes.
Los Angeles ground, Magellan 7201 requesting the end of
And
pushback.
then we're gonna switch off everything.
Magellan 7201 request to end, pushback received.
So we can open the boxes here. Set them to stop. Switch off the lights.
Los Angeles ground, Magellan 7201 with Golf ready to taxi IFR.
Switch off the other lights.
Magellan 7201 taxi to and hold short of runway 25 right via taxiway Alpha Alpha 7 cross runway 7.
And then switch off the air mechanics or the electronics. So as you can see, the flight was more than 1 hour and 30 minutes. We had a nice takeoff, a nice landing. Although nice landing, we almost missed the runway. Total flight time is 53 minutes and 29 seconds. So that's, I would say it's nice. Oh no, sorry, it's 53 hours and 29 minutes. Already past the 50-hour mark. So it was a nice flight from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Hope you liked this video. Hope you learned how to use the autopilot. You saw that not everything goes perfect. Also with me, I practice a lot with it, but sometimes it still goes wrong, like in this video. But I want to show you, okay, hey, I can make this video perfect, or I can show you the small errors which I would have done, right? So if you like this video, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or remarks, then use the question or remark box below the video. And if you would like to see more of these how-tos, then consider to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.